Why did I do this?
The other day, I was messing around with Letterboxd, and I discovered you can sort by lowest rated first. So I did that, and let me tell you, I found a gold mine of high quality content. So I figured, why let that go to waste? I'm gonna watch the 10 lowest rated. Here's our lovely selection. I'm gonna be skipping over the 365 days movies because I don't really want to talk about that. So with those movies removed, here is our bottom 10 on Letterboxd. Disaster movie: Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, The Last Airbender, The Mousetrap, 2025, Swiped, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Jeepers Creepers Reborn, War of the Worlds 2025, and Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh boy. So for this video, I'm not going to go too in-depth with each of these movies because there's probably already a commentary video talking about each of them. After I watch a movie, I'll come back here and give you my thoughts. All right, first movie. I'm going to lose so many brain cells making this video. Disaster movie is made by the same doofuses that made the Scary Movie series. Unsurprisingly, this movie is horrible. My resting face while watching this was kind of like... it was gross. In disaster movies, stuff just happens. It feels like a YTP that was stretched out way too long. It doesn't really feel like a movie. Just a bunch of really bad and unfunny jokes where the joke is just, hey, look at that thing. You know what that is, right? Or just something really offensive where the joke is that it's really offensive. Also, everyone in this movie is a pervert for some reason. None of these characters have anything to do with disaster movies. They were really struggling to stretch out the runtime. I thought I'd seen cash grabs before, but this is like the most cash grab movie I've ever seen. A good chunk of the characters were from relatively recent things at the time of release, so you can tell when they were making the movie, they were just trying to maximize profit by throwing a bunch of relevant and recognizable characters at the time into this absolute dumpster fire of a movie. Kung Fu Panda and The Dark Knight, which are both in this movie, released just a couple months before this came out. This movie barely has a plot. I don't know what else to say about it. The movie was just disaster? Miley Cyrus getting crushed by a boulder and saying suggestive things. Also, she was 15 when they made this. Haha poop, haha butt, haha sex. And then that's the humor. This is a movie that came out. Okay, now I go watch the next movie. I really didn't want to watch this movie. I hadn't actually seen it. I'd seen lots of reviews on like YouTube and stuff. But honestly, when actually watching this movie, I kind of zoned out. The soulless corporate feeling that this movie has was kind of relaxing. It was so mind-numbingly like dumb that I was perfectly content watching it, even though I hate everything it stands for. Maybe it's because I grew up watching like really bad children's movies. Although towards the end of the movie, I started feeling a little annoyed that I was watching this instead of literally anything else. Comparing this abomination to the original Megamind just makes me lose a little bit of joy. I grew up watching this movie. I don't think I'm blinded by nostalgia when I say that it's a genuinely funny, well-written, and extremely quotable film. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate is just so insanely bad. The animation, the comedy, the tone, it just doesn't work. Not to mention the camera angles are so flat. It doesn't feel like a movie. Who were they making this for? This came out 2 years ago. Most people who watched Megamind as a kid are adults now. And they made the Doom Syndicate for little kids because little kids can't tell if something is bad. All right, next movie. I don't want to talk about this one anymore.
The Last Airbender.
I didn't change setups. You're crazy. This is the same setup I was using a moment ago. So it's been like a day since I last recorded something for this. I had not seen or heard of this movie before this video. So apparently this movie exists purely just to take advantage of Steamboat Willie being in the public domain now. It's also just a really bad horror movie. The movie opens with this really dumb Star Wars text crawl where they're basically saying they're just not affiliated with Disney, but in a really quirky, goofy, haha funny. It's bad. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to read this. And it kind of makes you lose any faith that this was going to resemble a high quality production. But if I'm being completely honest, I kind of had fun. I kind of had fun watching this. Maybe it's because I watched it on a completely different day after a good night's sleep and a mental reset. But for me, it was more of a so bad it's good movie than just a bad movie. Is it weird that I'm wearing pajama pants? I'm gonna change. Wearing pajama pants in the YouTube video. Alright, don't get me wrong. This movie is terrible. I just like laughing at bad movies. Although it was kind of hard to laugh at it when there was like a minute of establishing shots, or a character taking forever to walk from point A to point B, or the most boringly written dialogue I've ever heard in my life.
Earlier, I hate to say I told you so. Where the hell have you been?
I'm noticing a little trend with these movies stretching out the runtime to barely get to an hour and 20 minutes, like the bare minimum length to be considered a movie. There is almost nothing to say about the plot of this movie. It's just a cookie-cutter, low-budget horror movie. Oh no, there's a bad guy. And he kills people. Oh no. Alright, now I have to watch. No. I don't want to watch this. You're gonna make me watch this? Why are you doing this to me? Stop. I already know about 2025 because I watched the Curtis Connor video, and I was like, man, I sure am glad I don't have to watch the entirety of this movie and I can just watch funny YouTuber make jokes about it. Little did I know. See you in a couple seconds from now in your time, an hour and a half to 2 hours in my time. Okay. Admittedly, it's been a little bit more than 2 hours. This is the worst movie I've seen. It is so boring. I grew up in a Christian household, so I've seen a ridiculous amount of bad Christian movies. Most Christian movies exist to preach a message, not to make a good movie. Christian filmmakers are preachers. They don't really care about the art of filmmaking, rather spreading a message. Anyways, 2025, The World Enslaved by a Virus is a good example of this mentality that is applied to Christian filmmaking. Everything that would go into making the movie good is completely half-assed. The sound design is practically non-existent, the cinematography is flat, the acting is horrible, the lighting is abysmal, the color grading is horrendous, the writing is booty cheeks. They weren't wanting to make a quality movie, they were wanting to get their message out. That the COVID lockdowns were bad, because they couldn't eat at restaurants or something. Curtis Connor already made this point in his video. The way they're going about this is extremely weird and comes across as very selfish. I don't know what they were thinking making this movie. It's really bad. I should probably move forward and talk about the other movies. I do not recommend this to anyone. All right. So I forgot to watch this yesterday, so unfortunately I'm doing this out of order. But The Last Airbender, another film regarded by many as the worst ever? Surprisingly, this is the only film on this list that I've prior watched to completion, as opposed to watching a YouTube video about it or discovering it while making this video. This movie is just disrespectful. I'm noticing that a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about here is adaptations of other things that turned out horrible, and therefore the backlash is like 10 times worse because you can compare the horrible thing to the not horrible thing it's based off of. They put these stories into the hands of people who do not understand what they're dealing with. M. Night Shyamalan, the director of The Last Airbender, has made some okay movies and some pretty good movies, but he does thriller and horror movies, not adaptations of beloved children's TV shows. Whose decision was this? Avatar, for the most part, is pretty upbeat and fun. This movie feels bleak. Not to mention the acting is bad, the writing is bad, the CGI is bad, everything is bad. Okay, so I'm just repeating what everyone on the internet has said for the past 15 years. The Last Airbender has almost zero redeeming qualities. I think my favorite scene in the movie is when the Earthbenders do all this to move a single rock. Besides the part of this movie where it gets extremely stupid, it was really difficult for me to get through. This video is already difficult for me to make because I'm having to watch the worst of the worst slop. But I've already seen this slop. I already know I don't like this slop. So it's just, I watched it on 2x speed. I'm sorry, I watched it on 2x speed. I skipped the opening text thing too, that doesn't help at all. I'm sorry. This is my video, I can do what I want, my rules. I get to watch a movie on 2x speed if I've already seen it. I get 1 2x speed pass. What did I just watch? That movie made no sense. The characters sucked, and they all made like the worst possible decisions. So, There's these two roommates, right? All right. The plot is, let me explain the plot. So there are these two roommates, right? One of them's nerd guy because he has glasses, and the other is womanizer creep. And then they make a hookup app. The womanizer guy makes the nerd guy make a hookup app. It's just weird and gross, but that's not my main problem. Nerd guy who made the app finds out his mom is using the app, so he deletes it. And then this is never explained. He deletes every single other dating app. I cannot stress, this is the stupidest thing this movie is so dumb and honestly infuriating, but at least it was entertaining. This is the first movie I've watched so far that I can confidently say I was entertained by. Every single character is a stereotype. This sounds so dumb, but honestly, this movie was a palate cleanser compared to all the other slop I've had to watch. Some of the acting was okay, and it was funny sometimes. Funny as in this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't stop laughing at how bad it is way. I noticed other rating sites didn't rate this movie as low as the ratings on Letterboxd. So maybe the people on Letterboxd are overhating. Just saying. 1.1 feels a little crazy. It's bad, and I kind of hate all the characters. Why are all the men so gross? But I enjoyed watching it. So yeah, it's still an abysmal movie. Don't get me wrong. Just compared to the other stuff, it was tolerable. I have 4 more. Hey, so I'm back here again because I'm too dumb to figure out how to get the lighting to look good in that other spot. So if it isn't obvious, this movie is like The Mousetrap, but it was made before. It's just another horrendously bad horror movie taking advantage of a property being in the public domain. This one is definitely better than The Mousetrap. There's actual effects. Bad ones, but they're effects. For the most part, it sucks. Out of all the movies so far, this one definitely made me the most uncomfortable. It's like a slasher. It's a torture movie. You watch people get tortured. Torture porn, it's not for me. Every scene that was even slightly graphic went on way too long, and it wasn't even entertaining. It was just weird. I kind of zoned out. I wasn't super disturbed. I was just like, this makes me feel a little icky. The whole thing is just characters with zero depth getting slaughtered by people dressed up as Winnie the Pooh characters. It also is completely devoid of any self-awareness. You would think going into a movie that's parodying something like Winnie the Pooh, it would be a little like funny, but no. It's not funny. Most of the time, low-budget horror flicks try to do something unique or creative so that they stand out. But I guess they were like, oh, it's Winnie the Pooh, that's all we need to do, so let's just make a bad movie with Winnie the Pooh on it. Which is definitely the main contributing factor to why the audience reception was so horrendous. It was still better than The Mousetrap, though. This is hot garbage. That was Flameo. Flameo. What?
Flameo, Hotman!
What is that from? Flameo?
Flameo, Hotman!
Flameo? Where have I heard? Flameo. I have a little confession. Originally, this part of the video was supposed to be about Jeepers Creepers Reborn, because that was the third from the bottom in the Letterboxd. But before I watched it, I did some research and learned some things that made me not want to watch it or talk about it on my channel. Apparently, the director of the original Jeepers Creepers movie is a convicted child molester, and he only served 15 months for his crimes. I learned this by searching Jeepers Creepers on YouTube and finding a video from James A. Janice where he talks about why there won't be a kill count for the Jeepers Creepers movies. Jeepers Creepers Reborn, this reboot isn't from this director, but I have a feeling a good chunk of these bad reviews is from people who are upset that they rebooted a franchise from the mind of someone like that. I'm assuming it's also just a terrible movie, because a lot of the reviews that I saw were just people being like, yeah, this is a stinky movie. So yeah, I'm not talking about this movie. I still have to watch 10 horrible movies though. And if I go back to Letterboxd and sort by lowest rated, the next movie right after Disaster Movie is Saving Christmas. I feel like I've seen this movie, or at least I recognize the guy on the cover. It's a Christian Christmas movie starring Kirk Cameron, who I'm vaguely familiar with. I'm weirdly excited to watch this because I have a feeling it's going to be a great movie to make fun of. Either that or it's going to be 2025 again. I'm going to watch it and I'll report back with my thoughts. There's this Christian movie I saw years ago that kind of spawned my thoughts and opinions on Christian filmmaking, God's Not Dead. This movie is God's Not Dead Christmas edition. If you don't know the premise of God's Not Dead, it's Christian student has to prove to atheist college professor that God's not dead or the professor will fail him. The atheists in this movie are portrayed as total scumbags who hate Christians. It's an incredibly naive and horrifically inaccurate blanket statement portrayal of an entire group of people. And also, the Christians are portrayed as perfect, flawless people. This movie is like that, but with people who don't like Christmas. So as you can imagine, the stakes are much lower than God's Not Dead. It's just dumb. The movie treats its viewers like they're stupid. It literally opens with Kirk Cameron himself talking for 4 excruciatingly awkward minutes, explaining the entire premise of the movie and what the movie is trying to say.
And I love hot chocolate.
It boggles my mind. Was it just to stretch out the runtime? I don't get it. This movie is nothing to me. It felt like nothing. Like 2025. They don't care at all about making this movie the slightest bit interesting. Every shot in this is the laziest, low-effort cinematography, if you can even call it that. It's shockingly low effort. Even though this movie has the same sort of issues as 2025, I think it's bothering me more because it's giving me flashbacks to God's Not Dead, and God's Not Dead 2, and God's Not Dead 3, and God's Not Dead We the People. Yes, I've seen all of those. I'm gonna watch War of the Worlds now. I moved again. So that was my favorite movie so far. Don't get me wrong, it was really bad, but it was so bad, it made me laugh. It's probably because I was mentally prepared by the infinite amount of YouTube videos about this movie. And I think bad reaction videos are the funniest thing in the world. And that's what this movie is. A bad reaction video. A 90-minute bad reaction video. I honestly don't know what to say about the plot, because I was not paying attention to that. And I get that that's one of the main things people criticize. Literally, the dude that saves the world is an Amazon delivery driver. This is an ad for Amazon. But thankfully, I'm able to overlook the dumb product placement and uninteresting story and enjoy the beauty of the bad editing and acting. I literally cannot look at any of these doofuses without smiling. They look so dumb. It's almost like the perfect bad movie. It's so funny to me, and honestly, I'm surprised that at the second to last movie, my mental state isn't completely destroyed. Hopefully I can handle the last movie. I have unfortunate news. I never watched Dragon Ball. I didn't watch it as a kid, and I haven't watched many episodes as an adult, so I don't really think that I'm super qualified to talk about this movie. I want to watch more Dragon Ball. I just haven't. There's just a lot of stuff to watch. And I haven't really watched much anime. So I've seen like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Death Note. And that's about it. Me watching this is the equivalent of someone who's never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender watching The Last Airbender movie. It's just an okay movie to half watch on a plane. So unfortunately, I don't have the appreciation for Dragon Ball that a lot of people have. Despite that, this movie did kind of suck. It's a generic high school action adventure movie with Dragon Ball loosely attached to it. It feels very corporate and sloppy, and I can see why it made so many people mad. But honestly, comparing it to some of the other movies that I've had to watch, I cannot say it's the worst. From a production standpoint, it's competent. The acting is okay, the cinematography is fine, and if you completely remove yourself from the fact that it's making an absolute abomination of the source material, It's fine to watch. Again, I have not seen a good amount of Dragon Ball related content, so my perspective is really bad. They did absolutely destroy the characters though. This is... Even I know that Goku isn't a teenager in 2005, white boy looking... I just think putting this movie side by side with 2025, the World Enslaved by a Virus, or disaster movie, even with all the disrespect to the source material, I think this movie is better. It's still an absolutely horrendous abomination though. It's just not my least favorite here. And that's everything. This video was really hard for me to make, and I haven't even started editing yet. I know I don't have many videos right now, but I'm trying to get at least 2 out every month. Cause I really like doing this. This is really fun. It's very creatively fulfilling, and I'm really happy that I'm getting to do this. If you like the video, maybe subscribe, and if you really like the video, maybe go watch another one of my videos because the algorithm really likes that. It is very late, and I'm very tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. But you should keep watching YouTube or go to sleep. If it's also late for you, you should go to sleep right now.